Welcome to Lotto in Nigeria. My name is Aro John Obizaba. So recently, the atmosphere in Nigeria has quite been very sad and gloomy. This is following the death of Mohbad. Now, Mohbad happens to be one of Nigeria's foremost artists, music artists, who has inspired a lot of persons with his songs. Like, anytime Mohbad's song comes on air, you definitely know you're going to be jamming to good music. Now, the circumstances leading to death are such that raise a lot of eyebrow. A lot of persons are saying this was no natural death. Now, more painful was the fact that he was buried hurriedly, and the circumstances in which he was buried with the undersized casket, the neck being bent, and all that. People ask the question, what are people trying to hide? Why are they burying him so quickly? What exactly is being hidden? Like, the circumstances are such that it raises a lot of suspicion. Now, not just the circumstances of his death, but also the various facts and evidence of videos that have been coming out recently have been saying a lot. People are asking the question, where were all these facts and evidence when this guy was alive? So this guy went through all this and no one said anything. Now, a lot of persons have been coming out to say, oh, we love you, we do this, we do this. A lot of persons have been throwing their condolences, and people are asking, when this guy was alive, when this young man was alive and going through a lot of this, because if you watch some of those videos, you see that this young man has been enjoying a lot of things prior to his death. The several threats while he was in the Malian music label, the various threats to life, he couldn't even stay anywhere without watching his back. Now people are asking, why is it that no one stood out for him? All the big guns in the industry, what happened? Nobody said anything about him until he died, and everybody's showing love. Most saddening was the fact that recently a petition he had written to the Nigeria police surfaced online. Initially, the story had been that, oh, the police were not aware, but when the petition surfaced, it became a story of, oh, we invited him and he never showed up. Now, notwithstanding all this that are happening, all this that have come to the fore, Nigerians are still resolved to make sure that he gets justice. Notwithstanding that, yes, Mohbad is dead now, a lot of people are agitating, there's a lot of agitation in the atmosphere that he must actually get justice. This is not going to be one of those situations that will just be swept aside. And it is quite commendable, or it is necessary for me to commend one of the steps taken by one of Nigeria's big-time lawyers, a human rights lawyer who has always made sure he has been very vocal, and he still remains vocal, in the person of Festus Ogo Esquire. Festus Ogo Esquire is a lawyer who actually wrote to the Honourable Attorney General of Lagos State requesting that a coroner inquest be conducted to ascertain the circumstances in which Mohbad died, and if possible, where persons are found culpable in his liable or culpable in his death, they should be brought to justice, and justice should be served accordingly. So it's necessary and it's important to commend Festus Ogo. Indeed, he has shown that being a lawyer is not all about just answering the barrister, the law, but indeed you should be ready to serve humanity, you should be ready to serve the people in the polity, you should be ready to ensure that at all times people enjoy the benefit of justice. So following the letter written by Festus Ogo, if you look at your screen, you see a sample of the letter. It's requesting that the Honourable Attorney General direct initiate the process of a coroner inquest being conducted to ascertain the circumstances of Mohbad's death. Now, a lot of persons have come online to ask what a coroner inquest is. Before we talk about what the coroner inquest is, it's necessary for me to state that currently in Lagos State, we have a law known as the Coroner System Law of Lagos State. This is a law that has been established to take care for all such issues such as coroner inquest, the appointment of coroners and all. So I'll take my time to explain this. When you talk about a coroner inquest, you're talking about an inquiry into the circumstance of a person's death, circumstances. Now, this occurs where a death is not natural, when a person dies in an unnatural circumstance, or possibly the death is surrounded by violence, or is surrounded by happenings or things that are inexplicable, something you cannot just comprehend. You're looking at it and you're like, waiting happen, like all these things happen and no one saying anything, or where the death happened and was never reported, and the next thing you're hearing is that, oh, this person has just been buried alive. These are circumstances, suspicious circumstances, or instances where a coroner's inquest can be conducted. So a coroner's inquest is basically an inquiry into the circumstances of death of a person to ascertain the real cause of the death, especially when the circumstances of death show that the death was not as a result of natural occurrence, but of something that requires urgent explanation or further clarification. Now, by virtue of the provisions of the the coroner system law of Lagos State, particularly Section 2, we have the chief coroner. The chief coroner is the Oga Patapata. Now, a coroner is the authority, that person that is responsible for administering and directing and controlling the way a coroner's inquest is conducted. He's responsible for conducting the coroner inquest and directing the proceedings. That's the coroner. So the coroner is that authority, that person that's responsible. Now, the Oga Patapata of all the coroners. Now, we're talking about the coroner system of Lagos State. Lagos State is the focus because this is the state in which the whole circumstances originated from. So Lagos will be the state of focus. So like I said, we have the coroner system law of Lagos State. So now, by virtue of the coroner system law of Lagos State, the chief judge is the Oga Patapata of all the coroners, is the chief coroner. Now, the coroner system law of Lagos State empowers the Honourable Chief Judge to appoint coroners in each district. Now, for ease of administration, the various localities are grouped into districts. Just the way we have in the High Court, we have Judicial Division, Magisterial District. We have, for the purpose of coroner's inquest, we have districts. Now, in each district, we have a coroner's court. The coroner's court is headed by a coroner who is either a magistrate not less than the grade of magistrate grade 1, or a legal practitioner with at least 5 years post-call experience. This is to ensure that indeed anyone who is heading that the coroner's court is someone who is versatile and well knowledgeable. Yes, so by virtue of the provisions of the coroner system law, the chief judge is the chief coroner, and also he has the powers to appoint coroner. Now, Section 14 of the coroner system law provides for instances where particular type of certain death shall be reported. Now, instances where death shall be reported to either the coroner's office or the office of the agencies responsible for the record of death. You know, primarily in Nigeria, the agency majorly responsible for the registering of birth and death in Nigeria is the National Population Commission, which issues the birth certificate and the death certificate. So, by virtue of the coroner system law of Lagos State, it is mandatory that a death shall be reported either to this agency responsible for recording death or to the coroner's office, when the circumstances is very suspicious. When the circumstances of death is suspicious, you're looking at things and you're seeing things that are fishy. That death shall be reported. It is mandatory for either the occupier of the premises where the death occurred, or the person in whose custody that death or the death of that particular person occurred, or a person with knowledge of the death. It is mandatory that you shall report to, like I said, the agency responsible for recording the also the coroner's office, where the death is suspicious, where the death is sudden. Also, in the case of suicide or suspected suicide. Yes, in those circumstances, or in the case where a person dies in prison or a child dies in care. These are circumstances. If you look at it, it's important you can easily get the coroner system law of Lagos State online. You can search for it on Google and you get it. It's important you look at these circumstances, particularly Section 14. Now, Section 15 goes further to provide that a coroner's inquest shall be conducted in these circumstances. Now, where the death is suspicious, where the death is sudden, like this circumstance of Mohbad's death, this circumstances definitely inspired Festus Ogu to have written the letter for to request a coroner's inquest, because you're saying facts are coming out to say that, oh, this young man was hale and hearty. He just went and supposedly again was given an injection and he died. It's quite sudden. It's quite suspicious. Then while you're still talking about the death, people are barely coming to terms with the death, and we're talking about his being buried. And if you look at the circumstances of his burial, you see that it's being rushed and all of that. So it falls within such scenarios, such circumstances in which a coroner's inquest ordinarily ought to be conducted to ascertain the cause of death. Now, Section 16 of the coroner system law of Lagos State goes further to provide that there shall be no tampering with the deceased, the body of the deceased. Now, when it talks about tampering, you're talking about maybe by virtue of any form of chemical preservation, chemical modification, or disposal. It means the body should not be dealt with in any manner that will distort it. So it means when the circumstances fall within those covered under section 14 and 15, the appropriate reports should ordinarily be made to the coroner's office or the concerned agency. And when it is made, the body should not be tampered with. The body should not or should not be disposed. You should not preserve it, because when you try to introduce new chemical compounds or new chemical substances into to the diseased body, there's a possibility of altering the natural state of the body before following the death of that particular person. Also, it may end up covering or destroying certain facts or evidence that may show that yes, some circumstances outside the ordinary happen. So Section 16 prohibits any form of modification of the diseased body or any form of disposal, which likely, if you to interpret it, will include burying the person. Yes. Now, by virtue of Section 17 of the Coroner System Law of Lagos State, even when the person, without reporting, the people or the relative of the family or whoever it is has gone further to bury the deceased, especially where this particular circumstance of death falls under Section 14, and you've gone ahead to bury the person without following the due step of making the necessary report to either the coroner's office or to the agency concerned of death for death, Section 17 empowers the coroner, empowers that direction to exhume the body. So exhume the body, like even if they buried it, exhume the body, let us conduct a coroner's inquest. It's important to point out that by virtue of Section 45 of the Coroner's System Law of Lagos State, the chief judge, that's the chief coroner, on application of the Honourable Attorney General of the state or the Commissioner of Justice, can direct a coroner's inquest to be conducted in regards to a particular death, whichever is suspicious. Now, you now see the reason, you now see the authority upon which our learned Festus Ogun wrote to the Honourable Attorney General requesting for a coroner's inquest to be conducted. Now, based on this provision, you can actually write to the office of the Honourable Attorney General, humbly requesting that yes, the Attorney General sent a motion, the process for a coroner's inquest to be conducted and carried out. Now, once the Honourable Attorney General writes to the CJ or applies to the CJ for a coroner's inquest to be conducted in a particular case where a death is out of the ordinary, yes, the chief judge, the chief coroner, has that power to actually set in motion that coroner inquest. Now, if you look at the provision of Section 48 of the Coroner's System Law of Lagos State, you will see that certain offences were created. Now, it prescribes imprisonment where there has been any form of mutilation or dismembering or altering of the diseased body after that death has occurred, where you have not taken the necessary step of making the report as required under Section 14 and Section 15, under Section 14 particularly of the Coroner System Law, where you take any step to either chemically alter the body or dispose of the body. It prescribes a punishment of basically 15 years. So it even goes further to create the law is not just establishing the coroner system. It even criminalizes, makes provision for certain offences in the case of any default of the provision. Now, if you look at this, also a part that makes provision for imprisonment of 3 months, where anybody fails to make the necessary report as required under Section 23(1) of the Act, of the law rather. So you see, these laws exist, and it's important that Nigerians will get to know about these laws. You can actually set in motion these laws. You can officially make a report where you feel is a particular death is not just related or restricted to this Mohbad's case only, but generally, when you feel the circumstances of a person's death are not natural or not normal, you can actually make a formal report to the coroner's office or take necessary steps as provided in the law, just for you to look at the existing laws of the state in which you are. Like I said, in Lagos State, we have the Coroner System Law of Lagos State, and I'm sure in every other state or various other states, yes, we have these laws that can actually be set in motion, especially when the circumstances of death are very suspicious and very, very unnatural. I hope you've been able to learn something on this particular episode. My name is Arajon Obizoba. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And if you feel there are any things I left out, you can do well to drop it in the comment section. Let's get to know about this. It's important that while we are living as Nigerians, we get to know the facts of the laws, or the provisions of the various laws that guide us as a nation and as a people. And also, let's not relent. Mohbad must get justice. The law must take its toll. And let's hope that at the end of this whole thing, we'll be able to unravel the mystery surrounding his death. My name is Arajon Obizoba. Stay blessed.